Mom and Dad already have enough on their plate. I'll handle this myself. Once little 8 finished devouring Su Xiaomei's snacks, it finally stopped. But the very next second, a massive green phantom of a Xuanwu burst forth from its tiny body, enveloping the entire room in radiant green light. Su Bai was utterly stunned and shouted, "Did this glutton just get full? Is it Xuanwu bloodline awakening?" Witnessing the grand scene before him, Su Bai's heart surged with excitement. He knew this little turtle would become his greatest trump card in the chaotic world. The next morning, sunlight streamed into the room, but the Xuanwu phantom that had erupted from little 8 the previous day had long since faded. Although the Xuanwu bloodline hadn't fully awakened yet, its appetite had grown even larger, leaving Su Bai feeling the mounting pressure. To tackle little 8's bottomless pit of a food problem, Su Bai returned to the magical pet house, hoping to find a solution. As soon as he walked in, the same store clerk from yesterday recognized him and greeted him with a smile. "Hello, you're back. Have you decided what to buy today?" Su Bai shook his head and leaned in closer, lowering his voice. "I'm not here to buy anything this time. Do you buy beast blood here?" As soon as the words left his mouth, a middle-aged man sitting in the corner raised his head, looking surprised. He glanced at Su Bai with a curious expression and asked, "Young man, do you really have beast blood?" The man stood up, waved the clerk away to tend to other matters, and gestured for Su Bai to follow him. Smiling, he said, "Come over here. Let's have a chat." It turned out that this man was the store's owner. Once seated, the owner leaned forward, his voice calm but tinged with anticipation. "So, I heard you have beast blood. May I take a look at its quality first?" Su Bai nodded and handed over a small bottle. The owner carefully unscrewed the cap and took a sniff, his expression instantly turning serious. He was shocked. This was genuine beast blood, and of exceptionally high quality. Suppressing his excitement, the owner maintained a composed demeanor and asked casually, "How much are you looking to sell it for?" Su Bai thought for a moment, considering the effort it took to extract the blood from little 8. He figured it should be worth at least 100 yuan. Casually, he held up one finger. The owner studied his gesture and tentatively asked, "Are you saying 1,000 yuan?" Su Bai's eyes widened in disbelief as he exclaimed, "What? 1,000 yuan?" Misinterpreting Su Bai's reaction as expert negotiation tactics, the owner chuckled awkwardly and said, "Just kidding. With this level of quality, 1,000 yuan is way too low. How about 10,000? Hearing the new offer, Su Bai was even more stunned, standing frozen in place. The owner, mistaking his silence for dissatisfaction, hesitated for a moment before biting the bullet and saying, "All right, how about 15,000 yuan? That's the highest I can go." Su Bai paused for a few seconds before suddenly covering his mouth, trying to suppress a grin that was creeping onto his face. He couldn't believe how valuable little 8's blood was. To mask his excitement, Su Bai put on a calm facade and said, "Deal. But let me tell you, if I wasn't in urgent need of money, I wouldn't even consider selling it to you." The shop owner let out a sigh of relief when Su Bai agreed. Standing up, he walked him to the door with a smile and said warmly, "Take care, my friend. If you have more good stuff, don't forget to come back to me." On his way home, Su Bai looked at the updated balance on his phone, his heart racing with excitement. 15,000 yuan. I can't believe it's worth this much. Little 8's food problem is finally solved. Just as he was basking in his good mood, his phone rang suddenly. The caller ID showed it was Mr. Lee. Su Bai answered, and Mr. Lee's voice, calm but tinged with urgency, came through. "Su Bai, this is Mr. Lee. Your academic results have been released, and there's also an important notice. Be sure to come to school this afternoon to fill out your application forms. Don't be late." Su Bai was about to ask what the important notice was, but the call was abruptly cut off. Frowning in confusion, he hadn't yet pieced things together when a red warning appeared on his system panel. "Warning. Host, 3 individuals harbor strong malicious intent toward you and are within 10 meters. Stay alert immediately." Su Bai instantly stopped in his tracks, his sharp gaze scanning the surroundings. The air seemed to grow heavier as danger loomed closer. Clutching his phone tightly, he muttered to himself, "Looks like trouble is here." Sure enough, 3 men slowly approached him, one of them carrying a spiked club. The bald man leading the group fixed his eyes on Su-bai and snarled, "Judging by how the pet shop owner treated you, you must have something valuable. Hand it over now." Plastering a nervous smile on his face, Su-bai tried to appear submissive as he explained, "You've got it all wrong, sirs. I was just selling something, not buying anything." Meanwhile, his mind raced with calculations. This bald guy is just a beginner martial artist, and he doesn't look very skilled. If I time it right, I might have a chance. The bald man, seeing Su-bai's seemingly frightened demeanor, burst into loud laughter. "In that case, hand over the money as well." As soon as the words left his mouth, Su-bai subtly reached into his bag and pulled out Little 8. He whispered softly, "Pull your head in and play along." The next second, he hurled Little 8 like a projectile straight at the bald man. The bald man, being a martial artist, reacted swiftly and used his club to block the attack, a smug grin spreading across his face. But just as he was reveling in his supposed victory, Su-bai darted forward and delivered a precise, powerful kick to the bald man's weak spot. The kick hit its mark perfectly, leaving the bald man writhing on the ground in agony, clutching his stomach and groaning in pain. Seeing their leader down, the 2 lackeys let out a furious yell and charged at Su-bai with fists swinging, determined to avenge their boss. Su-bai turned and ran immediately, glancing at Little 8 by his side as he fled. He couldn't help but marvel. This turtle's defense is insane. It didn't take any damage at all. However, he hadn't gone far before he heard the lackey's footsteps rapidly closing in. Su-bai came to a sudden stop, turned to Little 8, and said, "Hold on to my fist tightly." With a sharp pivot, he launched a powerful uppercut at the first lackey, using Little 8 as added weight. The punch struck the man square on the jaw, sending him reeling. Without missing a beat, Su-bai unleashed a flurry of blows, taking down the second lackey in no time. By now, the bald leader had recovered slightly. Trembling, he stood up, his bloodshot eyes glaring at Su-bai as he spat venomously. "I'm going to kill you." Su-bai smirked coldly, picked up Little 8, and said calmly, "Pull your head in. We're doing this again." Then, with all his strength, he hurled Little 8 straight at the bald man's face. The impact was brutal. A loud thud echoed as the bald man screamed in agony, several gold teeth flying out of his mouth. He clutched his face and collapsed to the ground, writhing in pain. With the 3 attackers incapacitated, Su-bai clapped his hands and shook his head, sighing, "This is what happens when you mess with me. You brought this on yourselves." He was about to leave when he noticed Little 8 perched on the bald man's chest, rummaging around as if searching for something. "What did you find this time?" Su-bai walked over to take a look, only to see Little 8 holding a small red vial and gulping down its contents. He quickly snatched the bottle and inspected it, realizing with shock that it was a legendary vitality elixir. This type of elixir was worth tens of thousands of yuan per bottle, and it could take an ordinary martial artist a whole month to fully absorb its effects. Su-bai stared at Little 8 in disbelief. "You drink it all at once? Are you sure you can handle that?" The next moment, he froze in astonishment as a surge of powerful energy flowed from Little 8 into his body. His system panel lit up with a series of notifications. Beast attributes increased. New talent acquired. Turtle shell defense. Staring at the massive boost to his attributes, Su-bai was dumbfounded. This vitality elixir is incredible. Not only did my stats skyrocket, but I also got a new talent. When Su-bai opened Little 8's attribute panel, he was completely dumbfounded. Constitution 32, Defense 38. He recalled what he had learned in class. Ordinary high-level beasts usually had a constitution of around 30. Yet Little 8, even without fully activating its bloodline, had already far surpassed them. Looking at Little 8's slightly larger frame, Su-bai couldn't help but laugh. "You're amazing, Big 8. But we need to get out of here quickly before more trouble finds us." At school, the teacher began the announcements. Today, both academic results have been released, and we'll be filling out college applications. Additionally, there's an important notice. Tomorrow, Wu University's special admissions officers will visit to conduct ability tests on students. There are still 2 guaranteed spots available this year. Lin Yinran leaned over and asked softly, "Have you decided whether to apply to the Literature Academy or Wu University?" Without hesitation, Su Bai replied, "Wu University. I'm determined to get in." Lin Yinran looked flustered and quickly said, "Didn't I tell you to apply to the Literature Academy with me? Wu University means going to the battlefield. Do you even know how dangerous it is out there? And with your grades?" Before she could finish, Su Bai interrupted her with a serious expression. "Someone has to go to the front lines, right? I'm doing this to protect the people who matter to me." Lin Yinran froze, her heart racing as she thought nervously, "Is he talking about me?" At that moment, the teacher approached Lin Yinran and asked, "Lin Yinran, have you decided on your application?" Su Bai thought to himself, with her literature grades and no awakened abilities, she's definitely going to choose the Literature Academy. However, Lin Yinran hesitated briefly before responding, "I haven't decided yet. I'll need to think about it some more." Returning to the podium, the teacher addressed the class. "This is a critical decision for each of you. Take your results home and discuss with your parents. Submit your final application by tomorrow at the latest." After school, Lin Yinran returned home, stepping into a flower-filled bath infused with medicinal vitality herbs. She closed her eyes deep in thought. After a moment, she dialed Su Bai's number, her cheeks tinged with red as she softly said, "Su Bai, I've made up my mind. I'm applying to Wu University too, and I have a surprise for you." On the other end of the line, Su Bai, currently playing the role of cleanup crew for Little 8's battlefield mess, asked in shock, "Yinran, are you serious? You're really applying to Wu University?" Hearing her firm response, Su Bai didn't press further and simply replied, "All right then. I've got some things to take care of here. Talk later." After hanging up the phone, a furious shout echoed through the room. "Little 8, you gluttonous troublemaker. Eating too much is bad enough, but the stench of your poop is killing me." Soon, the much-anticipated day arrived. The special admissions officers from Wu University visited the school. The entire student body gathered on the field, their eyes fixed on the podium. The host enthusiastically announced, "Students, let's give a warm round of applause to the instructors from Wu University." He continued, "Please welcome instructor Zhang Kai to speak. Not only is he an outstanding coach at Wu University, but he's also an alumnus of our very own #1 high school." Applause thundered across the field as instructor Zhang stepped onto the podium, his expression serious. He began, "Students, 1 year ago, 126 of our students were admitted to Wu University. Today, only 65 are still alive. 2 years ago, 98 were admitted. Now, only 32 remain. 3 years ago, 86 entered, and today, only 11 are left." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in, before continuing, "I'm not telling you this to scare you, but to make you understand that getting into Wu University is not something to boast about. What awaits you is duty, responsibility, and danger. Being admitted to Wu University means carrying the weight of protecting our nation. Wu University is a place for forging true strength. Do you want to become strong?" As soon as his words landed, the students roared in unison, "Yes." Their voices shook the air, their passion undeniable. After the speech, several instructors descended from the stage to verify the candidate's information. One of the teachers stopped Su Bai and led instructor Zhang over to him. Instructor Zhang smiled faintly and asked, "Are you Su Bai?" Su Bai quickly nodded, "Yes, sir." Without further ado, instructor Zhang dropped a bombshell. "Congratulations, Su Bai. You've been guaranteed admission to Wu University. Head to the school gate immediately. The bus is waiting to take you for the entrance assessment." Su Bai was stunned, his face full of disbelief. "I got a guaranteed spot?" Instructor Zhang nodded firmly. "That's right, Su Bai. It's the school's decision. Don't waste time. Get on the bus now." The surrounding students erupted in a chatter upon hearing the news. "What? Su Bai got a guaranteed spot? That's insane. His connections must be out of this world. So jealous. Direct admission to Wu University. He's definitely one of the chosen ones. In no time, Subai was on the bus, heading to Jiangzhou Martial Arts University. As soon as he got off, he was awestruck by the grand sight before him. The entrance gate was towering and majestic, exuding an overwhelming sense of power. Most striking of all was the massive stone tablet near the gate, engraved with the words, "With my chest as the wall, I fortify the unyielding Great Wall of Dragon Nation." The students in the group couldn't hold back their amazement. This is Wu University? No wonder it's known for forging the strongest. This place is incredible. The lead instructor, however, remained unfazed and said calmly, "The words on that tablet are one of Wu University's mottos. You'll get to know them well in time." She then gestured to the group, "Follow me. First, you'll receive your training uniforms, and then you can head to your dorms to rest." Before long, Subai and his fellow students were led to the boys' dormitory. The lead instructor pointed ahead and instructed, "That's the boys' dormitory. Head inside, take a rest, and change into your training uniforms. We'll notify you later about the time for the entrance test." Following the instructions, Subai dragged his luggage to room 303. As he approached, he could already hear an animated conversation coming from inside. "Resources are everything in the early stages of training. My dad went all the way to Jade Mountain and went through a lot of trouble to get 3 drops of rare beast blood. He even hired a master alchemist to turn them into 3 premium body-enhancing elixirs. This stuff is priceless," one voice said excitedly. 2 others were gathered around a table, staring at the bottle with envy. "So, this is what rare beast blood looks like. My family's bought vitality tonics before, but I've never seen beast blood this pure." Just as the owner of the voice was showing off, Subai opened the door and stepped in with a smile. "Hi everyone, I'm Subai, your new roommate." A red-haired boy immediately approached with enthusiasm. "Ah, great. Our room's complete now. I'm Han Yagon. Welcome, welcome." The other 2, Tao Jiejun and Fan Chang'an, nodded in greeting with friendly smiles. Tao Jiejun gestured toward the bottle on the table and said, "Come take a look. This is rare beast blood from Han Jiagong's dad. He got it after a tough trip to Jade Mountain." Hearing Jade Mountain and 3 drops, Subai's heart skipped a beat as he thought, "No way. Could it be the drops I sold that day?" To confirm his suspicion, he feigned surprise and said, "Wow, this rare beast blood must be worth a fortune." Han Jiagong, hearing this, became even more excited and replied smugly, "Oh, not at all. Each drop is only a little over 30,000 yuan, so 3 drops are just 100,000. No big deal." Subai's expression darkened immediately, and he cursed internally. That crafty old fox. I sold it for just 30,000, and he flipped it for nearly 100,000? What a blood-sucking middleman. Just then, a commotion erupted downstairs. Someone shouted, "Hey look, there's a stunning beauty at the dorm entrance. She's definitely my pick for campus goddess this year. Look at those legs. She's my dream girl." Subai's roommates were instantly drawn to the noise and leaned out the window to look. Tao Jiejun couldn't help but marvel. "A beauty like that at our dorm? Who's she looking for?" At that moment, the dorm manager stopped the girl and asked, "Young lady, who are you here to see?" As everyone speculated about which lucky guy she might be looking for, the girl replied gently, "I'm here to see Subai." Hearing this, the dorm manager immediately shouted up the stairs at the top of her lungs, "Who's Subai? Come down. There's a beauty here looking for you." The roommates froze at the dorm manager's shout, then turned to stare at Subai. Tao Jiejun's eyes widened in disbelief. "Bro, I didn't know you were such a big deal." Subai waved his hand casually and said with a smile, "Don't tease me. I'll go check it out." He stood up and walked out of the room. Downstairs, Lin Yanran stood at the dorm entrance. When she saw Subai coming out, her face lit up with a bright smile. "Subai, you look pretty sharp in that training uniform," she said as she reached out to adjust his collar. Meanwhile, the bystanders upstairs were in an uproar. "No way. The campus goddess is fixing Subai's collar? Who is this guy? Hands off my goddess." Subai looked at Lin Yanran, who was seriously adjusting his clothes, and gave a helpless chuckle. "Yanran, you're making me feel embarrassed. After she finished, she looked up at him and asked cautiously, "About the guaranteed spot. You're not mad, are you?" Subai shook his head calmly. "I'm not mad. To be honest, I was planning to take the exam myself. But I know you meant well, so thank you." As he spoke, he gently patted Lin Yinran's head. Lin Yinran then pulled a small vial out of her bag and handed it to him, her expression serious. "The entrance test is the day after tomorrow. This is a little something I prepared to help with your training." Subai immediately waved his hand, declining politely. "You've already helped me enough. You should keep this for yourself." However, Lin Yinran didn't hesitate. She pressed the vial into his hand and turned to leave. "Subai, I'll see you tomorrow." Back upstairs, the dorm windows were crammed with curious onlookers, all pointing and whispering. "Who is this guy? Did he just pat the goddess's head? Quick, investigate. How dare he steal our goddess? This is unforgivable." When Subai returned to the dorm, his roommates swarmed him, grinning and calling him Big Brother Su. Han Jiagong even offered him a back massage, exclaiming, "Big Brother Su, you're too humble. Who's that campus goddess waiting for you downstairs?" Subai chuckled awkwardly. "She's my high school classmate." As soon as he said this, Han Jiagong sidled closer with a sly grin. "Big Brother Su, since we're dorm brothers now, and you're so close with the goddess, could you introduce us to some of her friends? That shouldn't be hard for you, right?" Han Jiagong pounded his chest and continued, "Here's the plan, Big Brother Su. Since this is our first day together, let's go out for a meal and get to know each other better." The others quickly agreed. "Exactly. Leave it to us, Big Brother Su. You just relax. We'll handle everything." With that, they enthusiastically set about making preparations for the outing. Watching his roommates bustling about, Subai found their energy amusing and decided to let them be. He then reached into his bag and let little 8 out for some fresh air. "All right, you've been cooped up long enough. Take a breather," he said with a smile. Subai casually picked up the potion that Lin Yinran had given him and immediately recognized it as the valuable blood chi powder. Upon seeing it, Xiao Ba's eyes lit up and it stared eagerly at the potion, its tail wagging uncontrollably, clearly excited by it. Subai looked down at Xiao Ba, a mischievous smile spreading across his face as he said, "After you finish the blood chi powder, you know what comes next, right?" Xiao Ba seemed to understand, freezing in surprise. 183. That evening, the group headed to the restaurant. Subai, noticing they were at such an upscale place, felt a bit embarrassed. "Isn't this a bit too expensive? We can just have something simple." Han Jiagong slapped Subai on the shoulder with a big grin. "Don't worry about it, Suge. Tonight, just eat and drink well. Leave everything else to me." The others chimed in eagerly. "Suge, you're the guest of honor tonight. Don't worry, we've got everything covered." As Subai looked at his enthusiastic roommates, he began to relax, smiling to himself. These guys are pretty loyal. This is going to be an interesting time. Inside the private room, the atmosphere was lively. Han Jiagong raised his glass and said with a grin, "Coming to Wuda to study and meeting brothers like you, especially someone like Suge, I really feel lucky. Let me have the first drink." With that, he downed his glass in one go. Seeing his enthusiasm, Subai also picked up his glass and smiled. "Yinran and I were high school classmates. If we have the chance, I'll ask her to introduce some friends to you guys. Shouldn't be a problem. But for now, there's something I might need your help with." Eyeing Subai's serious expression, Han Jiagong quickly waved his hand and said, "Suge, just tell me what you need. If it's something I can do, I'll handle it without hesitation." Subai chuckled, reached into his bag, and placed a bottle on the table. "This is some rare beast blood. I'd like to ask for your help in selling it." The others immediately gathered around out of curiosity. As they saw the bottle containing a glowing red liquid, they were all stunned by the exceptional quality of the beast blood. Even Han Jiagong couldn't help but exclaim, "Suge, this looks like premium stuff. It's way better than the few drops I had before. I've never seen anything of this quality." As he spoke, he stood up excitedly and pulled out his phone. "Suge, with something this rare, I'm worried I might misjudge its value. Let me call my dad and have him come over to take a look in person." When the call connected, Han Jiagong hadn't even had a chance to speak before a stern voice came from the other end. Did you run out of allowance again? I sent you to Wuda to work hard and become strong, not to waste time living it up every day. Han Jaegong broke out in a cold sweat and hurriedly explained, Dad, listen to me. This time, I'm not asking for money. It's about something serious. My classmate has 7 drops of rare beast blood he wants to sell. The quality is even better than the 3 drops you got from Jade Mountain last time. I can't accurately estimate the price, so I called you to help. On the other end of the phone, Han Fu was momentarily stunned, then his tone turned serious. Are you sure you didn't make a mistake? The quality is better than last time, and it's 7 drops? Han Jiagong immediately nodded confidently. Absolutely no mistake. The quality of this blood is clearly not ordinary. Han Fu paused for a moment, seemingly deep in thought, before saying slowly, All right, tell me the address. I'll bring Master Chow over. After hanging up, Han Jiagong turned to Su Bai and smiled. Su Ge, just wait a moment, my dad and Master Chow will be here soon. Once they arrive, I guarantee the price for this beast blood will be something you'll be satisfied with. An hour later, Han Jiagong's father, Uncle Han, and Master Chow arrived at the hotel as scheduled. At this moment, Master Chow was carefully using advanced instruments to test the beast blood. As he worked, he exclaimed, The energy contained in this beast blood is the purest I've ever seen in my life. Among ordinary rare beast blood, these few drops are undoubtedly top tier. If I personally took charge, these 7 drops of essence could at least be used to refine a body-tempering pill. His eyes were filled with admiration and certainty. Uncle Han seemed a bit incredulous upon hearing this, frowning. Master Chow, isn't this evaluation a bit too high? However, Master Chow decisively answered, There is no mistake. Even with the best instruments, the value of this essence blood would only be higher than my evaluation. His words were firm and unambiguous. Han Jiagong, who had been listening on the side, was left dumbfounded, unable to stop himself from exclaiming, Damn, Su Ge, I didn't expect your beast blood to be this impressive. After Master Chow finished his examination, he turned to Su Bai and asked seriously, Su Xiaoyu, how much are you planning to sell this beast blood for? The conversation had reached a crucial point, and Su Bai stood up, smiling. Uncle Han, Master Chow, this rare beast blood was entrusted to me by a friend to sell. He specifically asked me not to sell it for money, just to exchange it for an equal value of blood chi pills. Uncle Han thought for a moment, nodded, and said, Since you and Jiagong are classmates, as an elder, I naturally won't let you suffer. I'll take all 7 drops of this beast blood, and in return, I'll have 14 bottles of blood chi pills sent to you. How does that sound? Su Bai, feeling grateful, smiled and said, Thank you, Uncle Han. However, Uncle Han then shifted his tone, looking at Su Bai with a deep gaze, and spoke slowly. Su Xiaoyu, I have one more suggestion. Would you consider joining our Han family? If you do, we'll provide all the cultivation resources you need in the future, completely free of charge. His tone carried a hint of expectation and sincerity. Su Bai quickly shook his head, politely refusing. I appreciate your kind offer, Uncle Han, but I currently have no plans to join any family. Uncle Han, seeing this, did not give up. He continued patiently. Su Xiaoyu, I suggest you think it over again. Joining our Han family will greatly benefit your cultivation progress. Before he could finish his sentence, a clear yet authoritative voice suddenly interrupted. Su Bai said he doesn't want to join the Han family, and no one can force him to join any family. At the sound of the door opening, everyone turned to look. There stood Lin Yinran, walking in with steady steps and a serious expression. Her gaze swept across the room, and her voice rang out with authority. Didn't you hear me clearly? The tone in her voice carried an undeniable weight, compelling everyone present to pay attention to her words. Seeing Lin Yinran suddenly appear, Su Bai was momentarily stunned, clearly surprised. Yinran? What are you doing here? Lin Yinran, noticing his reaction, smiled faintly, her expression light. I happen to be here for some business. Didn't expect to run into you all by chance, she explained casually, her words giving off an air of effortless ease. Han Shu, who had initially planned to get angry at the interruption, was immediately stopped by Master Chow, who leaned in and whispered something in Han Shu's ear. Upon hearing it, Han Shu's face instantly drained of color, his expression going from flushed with anger to pale with shock. Han Shu quickly regained his composure and turned to Lin Yinran with a respectful tone.